Everybody, good morning, and we're very delighted to presenting our first workshop for the Queen's Awards for Enterprise. We'd like to welcome my Lord Lieutenant Robert Voss, and we've also got Bays with us, which is Nicola Bruno and Chloe Polzer, and we've also got Mark Breton from the Local Enterprise Partnership. And very exciting, we have Silent Sentinel. Congratulations to them. They were winners this year and they won for Enterprise for International Trade. So we've got a whole plethora of experts on this call, and the purpose is to make this about all of you so that you ask questions and you find the answers to what you need to know at the end of this short presentation by Nicola. So Nicola, over to you, please.
Hi everybody, I'm Nicola Bruno and I head up the Queen's Awards for Enterprise office at the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, and I'm joined today by Chloe Polzer, who's in my team. Chloe will say hello in a short while. We're going to take you through a very short presentation. We're happy to answer questions at the end. So just to start off then with this slide. So the Queen's Awards, it's the most prestigious awards programme for UK businesses. It's a globally recognised seal of approval for UK companies. Now, it first started back in 1965 when it was then known as the Queen's Award to Industry. There's been quite a lot of changes since then, including several new categories. So we're here to talk to you today about the categories that we have today and which types of businesses we recognise and reward. We hope that you will join some of the 7,000 companies that have already won a Queen's Award and hope that you'll be inspired to apply this round. So on the next slide, we have 4 categories. As you can see there, we have innovation. So this recognises businesses who demonstrate strong, commercially successful, innovative products or services. So an example of this in the East region is Math Circle, and they are a small company of 7 employees based in Bedford, and they develop the Times Tables Rockstars, a gamified app solution to engage children with learning of times tables and increase their confidence and proficiency in maths. And as you're probably guessing, that's coming really handy in this homeschooling during the lockdown. The next category we have is in international trade. So this recognises businesses who have demonstrated substantial growth in overseas earnings and commercial success with their sector. So to qualify for this category, you would need to earn at least 100,000 in overseas sales in the first year of your entry, and then demonstrate steep year-on-year growth thereafter. As Breach said, today we're joined by Silent Sentinel, who we will hear from shortly, and they won in this category, so congratulations. And they design, build and manufacture imaging solutions for the defence and homeland security sectors. Next, we have sustainable development. So we have refocused this category last year, and what we're really looking for is people that are really leading the way in being sustainable. So we ask applicants to look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to see how their business aligns with those. So what we're looking for is people demonstrating sustainable products, services, or interventions. That has to be more than 2 years, and they have to provide evidence of the benefits or the positive outcomes of their actions and practices. So a great example that we have in Hertfordshire is Wilmot Dixon. So they are the UK's only carbon neutral construction company, and all of their offices are powered by 100% clean renewable energy. They also have numerous employee schemes aimed at the health and well-being of employees and in staff development, including a personal learning fund for employees, and their focus on mental health is particularly novel for the industry. And lastly, we have promoting opportunity. So this recognises and rewards employers for their work in providing high quality social mobility initiatives and programmes. which specifically reach out to support people from socially disadvantaged backgrounds. This will hope to create and inspire people to guide the best talent into their organisation and beyond. And a local example in the east is one in Cambridge, so that's Stainless Metal Craft, and they manufacture products for the nuclear, medtech, energy, marine and scientific sectors, and they've been training apprentices for 100 years. So they have great schemes for and put in financial support for graduate apprentices progressing into a degree, and a programme that includes females in engineering site visits. Lots more on them, which we can share with you. And I would urge you to look at our press books, which are available on the London Gazette, just so that you can read up on some of the local winners and what they have demonstrated for some inspiration. I'm going to hand over now to Chloe.
Thank you, Nikki. Hi everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm the Digital and Social Media Manager at the Queen's Awards office. So carrying on with the next slide. Thank you. So this talks about winning the benefits of a Queen's Award. So as Nikki said, the Queen's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious award that a UK business can achieve. The Queen's Award emblem is a trusted mark that provides immediate and long-term business benefits. The use of the prestigious Queen's Award emblem is a recognised royal endorsement that will get the business notice above and beyond competition, both at home and also overseas. Winning businesses are also permitted to fly the Queen's Awards flag at their main office, and they can use both this flag and the Queen's Award emblem for a total of 5 years, which is the period in which they hold the Queen's Award. We have also received feedback from previous winners to suggest that the Queen's Awards for Enterprise can benefit businesses with excellent marketing opportunities and press coverage, worldwide recognition as an outstanding British company, increased turnover in international trade, and also it definitely, especially for our winners this year, when they're going through such a difficult period of time, it was an amazing boost to staff morale within the company, and it was also to their partners and their stakeholders as well. We also hear that even even applicants who are not successful in their first attempt at a Queen's Award do find the whole experience extremely valuable, as it gives them targets to achieve to, and it's an additional focus for which they can optimise their efforts going forward. Our unsuccessful applicants do also receive very constructive and comprehensive feedback from our assessors, which then helps them quite often to go on to receive award in the following year. You can just see there as well that some of our research that we have carried out previously has told us that 73% of winners in the international trade category directly attributed increased sales to winning a Queen's Award. We often hear that it opens markets to them in through many doors that might not otherwise have been opened, such as in Japan, in America, and many other countries as well. And this doesn't necessarily have to have been within the international trade category. It works across all categories. So on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So how to apply. So the 2021 round is now open. It opened on the 1st of May and it closes on the 9th of September this year. Now all categories other than the promote and opportunity category is currently live, as this category is currently going through a refresh, but we're hoping that it will be launched within the next week. So there will still be plenty of time to apply before the 9th of September. Now, almost all UK businesses, including non-profit, can apply. It's a free process, so the application process is free. The only cost that may be incurred is if your application is shortlisted in November time. We do ask for your financial figures to be audited, and a cost may be incurred there if you have to pay additional costs to have your finances audited. All application forms must be made online. However, you can download a PDF form when you register to help you plan the application before you then go on to apply. You can also apply for more than one category. So this year we actually had 4 double winners. So 3 of those were in international trade and innovation, and 1 of those was in international trade and sustainable development. As I said, this year's round opened on the 1st of May and will close on the 9th of September. Now, I know that does seem like a long way off. However, the application process can be quite lengthy. Around half of our applicants do say that it can take up to 20 hours to complete. Now, it may take more than this, it may take less, but we do advise that you start the application form as soon as you can, just to make sure that you have enough time to bring all of the information together that you need for the application, and make sure that you really are telling your story the best that you can when you submit it to us. Handing back over to Nikki now, who will talk to you about eligibility.
Thank you. So moving on to the next slide, as Chloe said, the Queen's Awards for Enterprise is a self-nominating process. It's open to almost all businesses across the UK of all sizes and sectors. So here's our basic eligibility criteria. So when you first go into the application, you'll have a checklist which will go through and check off to see whether you're eligible. We also have this for each category. So the first one there is you have to be based in the UK. You have to file your company tax returns with HMRC. You have to be a self-contained enterprise that markets your own products and services and under your own management. Now, you might be wondering if you're foreign owned, you might have a foreign owner, but it's what we're looking for is that the UK business arm or the entity is the entity that's applying, and what we're really looking for is the jobs creation and growth, and that the return is coming back into the UK economy. We're often faced with all sorts of questions, complex questions around this. So please do feel free to contact us at the end or offline, and we can look into your individual eligibility. The next one is you have to have at least 2 full-time UK employees or part-time equivalents, and you must demonstrate strong corporate social responsibility. Here we assess the impacts of the business on the environment and society, and the strong relations that you will have with your employees and customers. Obviously, being a Queen's Awards winner, we're expecting businesses to be exemplary, so that's why this particular aspect was made mandatory a few years ago. Just to say that since 2016, winners cannot apply for the same award each year. So prior to 2016, international trade winners in particular were able to reapply the following year using the same set of figures plus another additional year in order to gain a new award. So that is no longer the case. And you are able to now use just 1 year's figures from a previous winning entry, but no more than that, because we're not wishing to double count the excess and to award companies for periods of time that they've already been recognised for. So the next slide is the 2020 Queen's Awards winners. So we had 220 winners across the UK. 4 of those were double winners, so some achieved an award in international trade and innovation. That tends to be the sort of the popular 2 that people go for. You can apply for more than one category, and as you can see, people do often win more than one. We had 128 international trade winners, 66 in innovation, 19 sustainable development, and 7 in promoting opportunity. Now, contrary to popular belief, 90% of our winners are small to medium-sized enterprises, so they would have less than 250 employees, and 31 of our winners this year had actually less than 10 employees. So please don't be thinking, I'm a small business, this isn't really for me. It absolutely is, and we hear from winners all the time that tell us, as Chloe said, that this Royal Seal of Approval really does help very small companies compete globally with much larger businesses. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown in Hertfordshire. So last year we had 6 winners. So we had OPRO International based in Hemel Hempstead, and they won an innovation award. Now they employ 52 people and they manufacture custom fit mouth guards for participants of contact sports. Hertfordshire also had 4 international trade winners, including DK Engineering Acquisitions based in Chorley Wood, Dotsmatics in Bishop Stortford, DV Signage in Nebworth Park, and Home Health based in Bushy. You had one Sustainable Development winner, which was Wilmot Dixon, who we've already spoken about, and they've got over 2,000 employees based in Letchworth Garden City. In 2020, 14 businesses applied from Hertfordshire. 7 of those were not recommended. Now, we do give very comprehensive feedback to applicants who are unsuccessful, and they often do tell us that it's really helpful. It's really made them look at their business and review some of their processes and systems. Some people have told us they've actually sort of modelled their business around the feedback and were able then to go on and apply successfully in the following round. So of those 14 that applied, 7 winners, and they actually were all in international trade, and they were Prop Store Limited, Silent Sentinel, Buddy Limited, Innovative Trials, Peerless AV, QHI Group, and SA Designer Perfumes. So lots of international trade winners, but we really hope today that you may be inspired to go and apply for some of the other categories. You don't have to be an exporter. So if you're not an exporter, please don't think this is all about exporting, because you can obviously look at some of the other categories to consider. I'm going to hand over now to Chloe. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. So on the next slide, we'll talk about our top tips. So what exactly are you looking for in an application? That is one of the most popular questions that we hear here at the Queen's Awards office. So some of the top tips that we like to tell our applicants is to firstly register online on the application system. Now, as I said earlier, this will allow applicants to be able to download a PDF version of the form after they've checked their eligibility. And that means that applicants can plan their application properly. They can make sure that they have all of the information that they need. And sometimes they might need to get this from other people within their organisation. So having that there and planning it really will make it easier when it comes to filling in the application form online. Now, secondly is to use plain English. We find that winning applications manage to avoid technical jargon. The application must be easy to read and also understood by our assessors, because our assessors might not necessarily be experts within the sector of the application. Next is to provide evidence. Please provide evidence to support all of your statements. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to tell the story of your business in your own words. We want to hear about your own personal journey, why you started the business, and what were the key drivers in making your business successful. Next is to add collaborators to your application account, because this will allow others to be able to help and contribute to your application. It also means that if you're ever absent from the office, someone else within your company that is added as a collaborator will be able to log on to the application system and be able to complete and submit the application form on your behalf. Lastly is to allow sufficient time. As I said, the application form can take a while to complete. We do like to encourage applicants to start the application form as soon as they can, just to ensure that they have enough time to complete it. We do, of course, always receive that rush right at the end there, near the 9th of September. So we do like to encourage applicants to make sure that they provide themselves with enough time, just so that you can make sure that you get everything that you need to into the application form, and it allows us to have as much information as we can to be able to assess your application. Just on to our next slide there. Thank you. So applying for a Queen's Award in 2021. Now, we obviously appreciate that businesses may have been affected in many shapes and forms this year by things such as Brexit, flooding, sorry. Therefore, during these uncertain times, it's important to ensure that we still support our British businesses. To support this, we've made some positive amendments to the application process to ensure applicants are able to provide appropriate evidence to support their application. We will be assessing applicants on a case-by-case basis, and we'll make sure that we evaluate commercial success and challenges by uncontrollable external factors. it's important for us to see the trends and patterns in the business's commercial success and how well they performed before these challenging times took place. Now, one of the changes that we have made is previously on the application form, when you have to input your financial figures, these were set for the last 3 to 5 years, depending on which you were applying for. However, this year, you are able to manually input which financial years you are providing figures for. Now, this will mean that if you're applying this year, rather than providing figures for 18, 19, 20, you may wish to wind back a year and provide figures for 17, 18 and 19 instead. And this means that you can still show that positive increase in your commercial figures, as our assessors do tend to not look for any dips. So in your application, in your financial figures, rather than having those dips there, if you wind back a year, we can still see that increase in your commercial success. We are obviously very happy to talk to applicants as well about any challenges that they may have faced and how this might affect their application. So we'll be very happy to talk to applicants about that as well.
Thanks, Chloe. Thank you. So just lastly then, on the last slide, we're a small friendly team of 5. We are here to help, whether that's by talking you through the application form, the process itself, whether it's helping with an IT system issue. Please feel free to call us on the contact details that you can see on the screen. You can contact us by phone, email, take a look at the website, which is where you need to register and apply. We also have lots of tips, case studies, videos, blogs on our Queen's Awards blog, and you will see them featured on our Twitter feed at the Queen's Awards. Each year we produce a marketing toolkit for stakeholders, and this gives advice on how to promote the awards to eligible businesses and organisations. If you would like to receive this toolkit, please email us and we will add your contact details to our list. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them now, or alternatively, you can always contact us at the Queen's Awards office. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, Nicola. Sarah, if you could take the slides down, then we can see everybody, and we're going to open the floor to questions, not only to Nicola, but to Mark from the LEP, and to Robert Ross, and to Silent Sentinel as well. So if you'd like to ask a question, either put something in the chat box or raise your hand. We have one question already from Louise Major. It says, they mentioned socially disadvantaged. Would this include disabilities?
It does, and Louise, you'll see when you register for Promoting Opportunity, now the new application form, which will be available from next week, it will have a huge list of what we mean by socially disadvantaged. So it's disabilities, it's people of a BAME background, it's all sorts of things, including if you can collect this data about your employees, whether their children receive free school meals, whether they themselves have been educated, what level they've been educated to. Huge amounts of different scenarios there for you, and it will all be available and listed on the application form.
Lovely, thanks, Nicola. We are recording this webinar, so you will all get the link to watch it again, and also the toolkit that Nicola talked about. We're going to add that link into the email as well. I've just realised we don't have a hand. I can't see that on my screen. So if anybody has another question, please raise your hand in the screen or put it in the chat box and we'll answer it. We've got a couple of questions that have been asked as well. So I'll put it over to you all first. And if not, then we'll raise the other questions. Silence. Okay, so we had, I think you've answered this one, Nicola. Would dips in trading figures rule us out of entering? But you've already answered that you can take it back a subsequent year in order to show the growth.
Yes, that's right. Because obviously dips traditionally, we wouldn't allow them, but we know this year, for all sorts of reasons, it's been very difficult for businesses. So people can manually wind back those years, and then what we're going to do is reflect upon the pool of applicants and the various scenarios and challenges they face, and then look at what we would propose to do in the following year, because obviously winding back a year is only really going to be sustainable for this year, but it won't in future. So we will definitely be addressing that at our judging panels in January.
Thank you. Laura Pearce, you had your hand up. You'd like to ask a question?
Yes, please. This is really exciting. We have a client who has been around for about 65 years. They have made and manufactured innovations from the first prototype of ExoMars, Mars rover, to the Popemobile, a Nissan, but they never quite fit into awards because they are producing the innovation. So they work with Airbus or they work with Bentley, Mercedes, but because they're not actually producing it, I was really excited to look at putting them for the innovation, but they're not actually creating, they're building the innovation, but it's not their concept. So would they fit that award?
I mean, it's tricky. We probably have to look at a bit more detail offline, but just to give you an example. So there's a really small company, 3 founders, called TP3, and they actually created a hair curling appliance for Babyliss. And actually TP3, these 3 men, they put in for the award because they had the innovation, but also Babyliss put in for the award because they were obviously marketing and selling it. So sometimes you can do a joint application, so that's something they might consider. So as you say, they're not particularly sort of at the drawing board doing the sort of innovation, but if they partnered up with the people who were, they might want to put in a joint application. But we can certainly talk about that offline further.
I'd love to. They are brilliant. I have another question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. How are you selecting? So with certain awards, we're obviously aware of the assessors or backgrounds, or if it's a Herts or county-based award, it tends to be business owners or people within the county. How do you select assessors for the awards, if that's something you can share?
Yeah. So basically, we're civil servants. So anyone that we work with on a contractual basis, it has to be published on the government. It's the Cabinet Office's contracts finder. So we put up the 4 contracts there, and it talks about asking for people with expertise in this area. And the companies then bid on those contracts, and then we have certain criteria that we would mark them against. And it's basically the most successful, including the value for money, obviously comes into it because we're spending public money. And then they're awarded contracts on a sort of a 1+1+1 like basis. The judges, which is the next stage, so the assessors, if you like, look at the application forms. They complete a sort of a case summary, and then they rule out whether people are successful at that stage or not quite ready yet. We then go to judging panels. So they're chaired by a senior civil servant. They're called permanent secretaries. So some of you may have known this, but a permanent secretary is the most senior civil servant in a government department. So you've heard lots of things about Mark Sedwell and others on the news. They're the permanent secretaries. So each judging panel is chaired by one of those. So obviously they're experts in their area. We also have a range of experts from industry, from academia, from the public sector. And then we also have a Prime Minister's Advisory Committee. These appointments are they're actually, what we do is we look at the pool of applicants. So for international trade, we know that 40% of our applicants are manufacturing. So we would ask our policy colleagues in manufacturing, right, who's kind of the great and good in manufacturing, obviously taking into account diversity. We want to reflect, you know, the breadth and depth of businesses. So we look at diversity, we look at all sorts of things. Obviously, BAME comes into it, female, male, looking at the proportion, but mainly it's looking at, well, the applicants coming through. If we have sort of a lot in education or creative industries, we need judging panels that have that expertise too. So they're a wide variety. You can read more about our judges actually. It's a really great Queen's Awards for Enterprise magazine. It's run by an independent company, and for 2 years running they've done a feature on judges, and they range from all sorts of people, from Lord Popat to the Leslie Batchelor, who was formerly the Director General at Institute of Export. Huge range of people. Some of them are former Queen's Awards winners as well, because it's really nice for us to get their views too. But we can share that link afterwards on the magazine, and you can have a look.
Thank you. That's an incredible answer.
Thank you. Robert, we have a question for you. Will the Lord Lieutenant visit our offices if we win?
Well, good morning, everybody. Firstly, before I answer that, I actually have to correct Nicola on something. Hertfordshire hasn't won 7 awards this year. Hertfordshire's won 8. We won 8 international trades. I think you missed out Prop Store. So we're very proud of our 8, so don't take one away from us, please. In answer to that question, yes, I mean, I very much enjoy visiting winners together with normally 1 or 2 deputy lieutenants, one of whom is on the call today, Kate Holland-Hibbert, who joined me presenting last year to Home Health. And it's a very enjoyable experience. It's very good for the entire business and the entire staff, and a lot of companies also invite their suppliers, their customers, a whole range of people. Obviously, this year may be a little bit difficult because of the COVID situation. As soon as the awards are available, and I understand there is a little bit of a delay in having them manufactured, and maybe Nikki would like to comment on that in a minute. I'm very happy to come out as long as I observe social distancing in accordance with government regulations. I'm very happy to come out and make presentations. As I say, from my point of view, it's an extremely enjoyable part of my role.
Lovely, thank you, Robert. Got a couple of questions that have come in. The chat seems to be the way you will want to do it. So, for the international trade, what percentage increase is considered to be steep growth, and what percentage is substantial?
So basically, this is going back to the eligibility. So for international trade, you can demonstrate, as the person's indicated, you can demonstrate outstanding achievement over 3 years. So that's where we're expecting this very sort of steep growth, or we're looking at continuous growth over 6 years. So what I would say is, if you looked at growth in your own sector, in the markets, look probably, I would say, at something like the OECD definition of steep growth, which is around 20% per annum, and it's about 150% over 5 years. But obviously, that's not a hard and fast rule. It's really for you to look at, you would know, being in your sector, what is considered steep growth in that sector, and obviously make that case in the application form, particularly if you're in quite a niche market, because although our assessors are made up, some of them, for example, in international trade, are former international trade directors. People who were working as civil servants and encouraging exports locally. So, you know, they might be experts in certain sectors, but not in all. So just have a look really at what is considered the best in your own sector.
Lovely. Catherine, would you like to ask your question, or do you want me to ask? Why don't you unmute and ask your question?
Hello. Hi everyone. Yes, I just wanted to know whether or not a business would actually meet the eligibility criteria if they outsource rather than have employees, because I'm actually in that situation at the moment. So I don't really actively employ anyone. So if I do need certain jobs done, then I outsource the work.
Hi. So yeah, but so basically one of the criterion is that you have to employ 2 or more full-time employees. That's because this scheme is for enterprise, and it's for people that are running a business which is employing full-time employees. So sorry about that. At the moment, it looks like
maybe.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Nicola, can I ask a question? How long can the business use the winner's logo?
Yeah, so you're permitted to use it for 5 years. So that's, you know, really great, because you can use it on your marketing, on your products, on your stationery. And, you know, we can't sort of stress enough how much winners tell us that for them, and Robert knows that we've done a lot of calls with all over the UK with Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenants, and we hear all the time, particularly one that I know, that, you know, Robert's actually presented many awards to, Wilmot Dixon. You know, they spoke about how much it gave them the edge over their competitors when they're competing with others in the market. They talked about how it was a fantastic validation from pre-eminent figures beyond their sector and industry, because, you know, we all know there's quite a lot of awards out there, but this is probably likely to be the only award running this year, because many other awards obviously rely on the funding that they get from the presentation evenings. Obviously we are you know, publicly funded, so we are going ahead, and we just hope it's a real opportunity for people to seriously consider this year.
Thanks, Nicola. I just wanted to bring Madeline Lewis in, Marketing Manager from Silence Sentinel, to give, she's actually done this process and she's a winner this year. Silence Sentinel were a winner this year. What tips you might like to add, as I'm sure that you probably were very heavily involved in the application, Madeline?
Yeah, so I work closely with our Managing Director and Business Development Director, but I did the actual sort of application, if that makes sense. A lot of my tips actually are very similar to Chloe's, which is obviously a good thing because they clearly all match up. But the whole thing about having facts and statistics in there, I just think when you're writing it, try and put yourself in the judge's shoes, in the sense of if you're reading lots of applications, you know, you're going to want to read numbers and kind of true statistics, and I think it kind of gives that real element to your application. And use the upload, so you can upload 3 documents. So for us with international trade, we uploaded like a map, and it had all the different places we've exported to. So again, just kind of giving that visual element, I think is quite useful. And again, so Chloe mentioned it, but I think telling your story, I know it's a professional award, but at the same time, you do kind of need to be emotive about it. A lot of businesses are small to medium enterprises, so you know, we had a genuine story to tell, and I think it's important to get that across. Again, if you're a judge reading it, like, you want to kind of be involved and understand it. And I think sort of finally, other than that, again, using that plain English, what we do is very, very complicated, and we use a lot of jargon, but you can't write like that. Like, you've got to sort of not dumb it down, but just make it really simple. Again, you want the judges to kind of understand your company. They may not need to know the intricates, but they need to understand what you do. So I think take a lot of time on it, try and get a few people's input, people sort of to read over it. But yeah, my advice is kind of give a genuine application and back it up with the statistics, really.
Thanks, Madeline. Can I ask, was it the first time that Silence Sentinel applied, or had you tried it before?
So it's our first time applying for a Queen's Award, but obviously we applied for the Inspiring Hertfordshire Awards last year as well, and a couple of other local business awards. And basically, when we knew that application, it was obviously for exporting, when we knew that had been successful, a lot of it you can then sort of use again across different awards. So we had, like, when it says describe your business, we basically use the same entry as we did for Inspiring Hertfordshire, because we knew that was sort of good content. But it was our first time for Queen's Award, but like I said, we did use elements from different awards as well.
And since winning, Madeline, just give us a couple of good things that's happened to the business from actually winning the award. So
obviously it's been a really weird time. I got the email, I think it was in April, and I was sat at home and I was going, yeah, by myself. But so it has been really strange, obviously, in the sense that we haven't been able to kind of celebrate. But in terms of the business side, we've got it in, obviously, all our signatures. We sent out a newsletter to all of our contacts around the world, and we got people were replying to it, so saying congratulations, and we've had really good feedback. And again, I think it was mentioned earlier on in the slides. So we work closely with Middle East. It's a region that we're trying to build business in, and they seem to be the most responsive, I would say, to us winning the award. I think to them it's quite a prestigious thing. They like UK manufacturing anyway, and I think this kind of is the next level. But yeah, no, it's really good, and I think for us it's going to open us up to a lot more sort of contacts going forward, and competing like internationally. Our biggest competitor is an absolutely huge company in America, and it's things like this that do make you sort of have a leg to stand on and kind of compete where maybe you couldn't before.
Thanks, Madeline. Nicola, we have a question. Can charities be considered for the awards, please?
Yes, they can, as long as they have two or more full-time employees or equivalents. They can also consider applying.
Lovely, thank you. Mark Breton, you're sitting there very silently. We keep bumping into each other this morning.
We do, yeah.
So I just wondered if you wanted to make a comment as you've joined us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning to everybody. So I'm the chair of the Local Enterprise Partnership in Hertfordshire and of the LET network nationally, which brings all the 38 LETs together. So our responsibility, our remit is to really encourage all, inclusive, good growth in the county and across the country. I just want to really encourage you to consider the awards, to get some help in applying for the opportunity to be considered. Also, for those people that have won awards, and I know that Lord Lieutenant is going to write to you if he hasn't already, to encourage you to help for other people to apply. I mean, there are 62,500 businesses in Hertfordshire. We haven't even touched the surface for the potential for Hertfordshire to completely swamp the base team with some fantastic applications. So just really want to encourage people to take part. There's great stories across our business economy here. Lots of terrific things have happened, in spite of the horrendous deaths and so on during the crisis, that really show the ingenuity and drive of business. BASE has made some amendments to the criteria to understand that. I think that's a good thing because we do want to reward enterprise, and enterprise in all its forms. And when times are hard, I think people can really show their ingenuity and be even more enterprising. So I just want to say, we're very pleased to support this. There's lots and lots of focus going on how we're going to grow ourselves out of the economy. Bridge and I were on one of 5 roundtables that we're running this week with ministers. We were with Paul Scully. I've got another one this afternoon with Nadine Sahawi. So this is just here to help lead the community out of trouble. And what better way to get recognised than to apply for a Queen's Award.
Lovely. Thank you, Mark, for that lovely overview. Nicola, we've got a technical question here. So how are the judges' scoring weighted across the various parts of the form? Are some questions worth more than others?
For each category, the assessors develop their own scoring sheets, if you like. So what we're mainly looking for is the strategy. So obviously looking at, say, international trade, we're looking at the growth strategy, the strategy to export over one market or another, which markets they've entered, how successful they are. For innovation, what we're really looking for is, as the lady, sorry, apologies, I've forgotten her name, from Silent Sentinel said, it's about putting it into layman's terms. So it's about accurately and succinctly describing what it is that you've innovated, and more importantly, why. We have all these brilliant applications. We had one on yacht lighting, for example, but we're not exactly experts, and neither are our assessors in that sector. But so why is it really important for this particular light to react in this certain way? We need to kind of know what is the problem that you're trying to solve. So as Chloe said, it really comes back to sort of telling the personal story. With promoting opportunity and sustainable development, what we're really looking for there is it's that ability of the business leaders and also all of the employees to really put those issues at the heart of their business. So whether it's being sustainable or whether it's being inclusive and looking at how you're helping your community, it's really like the personal story. So it is quite hard, and it's not a competition. So we're not comparing someone who you know, has one great social mobility initiative to another. It's if we think that you're worthy, then you will receive an award. And there are there's no cap or quota on the amount of awards either.
Lovely, thanks, Nicola. Jeremy, I just wondered, as you've stayed with us on the call, I know you're very busy, if you wanted to just say a few words on behalf of the Chamber.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. The one thing I would like to say is that I'm impressed by the amount of people that are interested in taking part in this exercise. I think we should consider an application for a Queen's Award for Enterprise as part of our post-COVID return to business. Everybody's going to be marketing, everybody's going to be looking for the consumer's spend, and this is one absolutely significant way to differentiate yourself from the competition, either here or anywhere else in the world. It's packaged to set you apart from your competition. And really right now and for the next few years ahead, those are the things that are really going to matter when you go into business. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. So are there any further questions? I hope that you've really enjoyed what we've put together today, and we will be sending you some further information after. We always follow up. In addition to that, Jeremy and I were talking last night, and if you want us to look at your application in confidence before you submit, we would be happy to do that for you as well. And that's part of being a Chamber member. So it's just getting a second pair of eyes that not related to your business, that might not have the technical knowledge that you're going to put into your application, and we could just review it for you. And that is quite a generous offer, but actually we'd be quite delighted to do it as well. So I think, Robert's got a question.
It's not really a question, it's just following on from that and what Mark was saying. I have written to all the previous winners in the last 3 years, and already a number have come back to say they'd be delighted to help entrants who have had problems. These are successful winners, exactly as we heard from Madeleine. And what better than to ask somebody who's actually been through the process and succeeded. So there will be quite a number who will be available, if you like, to mentor those who are going through the process. I would just add that on behalf of the Lieutenancy and representatives of Her Majesty the Queen, we are extremely proud of the success of Hertfordshire businesses. As Mark alluded to, we've just hardly scratched the surface, but we have done pretty well in Hertfordshire. We can always do better, but we are extremely proud, and it is a Queen's Award, and I think that's the thing to remember. This is a royal award. It is awarded by or on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen, and I don't think you get much more prestigious than that. So please do apply. I look forward to visiting all those winners in future years, and hopefully you'll keep me busy for months and months and I won't have time to do anything else.
Thank you, Robert. Well, as we're coming close to the end, unless there are any further questions, I won't keep you on, because I know you're itching now to download the forms and get started. No time like the present. So I'd like to thank you all, particularly our Lord Lieutenant Robert Voss for joining us this morning. I know how busy he is. I certainly know how busy Mark Breton is from the local Enterprise Partnership, and of course our Chair Jeremy Bishop. And thank you to Nicola and Chloe from Bays for really giving us a great presentation this morning. I'm sure that they've opened the door now for you to contact them directly, so I encourage you all, don't waste any time. Just get that application in and start working on it from today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on our next Zoom and webinar over the coming days. Thank you.